Hello everybody, I'm back again. Today I'm going to talk to you about microchips. So what I have here is I went to a website, I looked on Google, went to a website and I purchased a microchip. The reason I really want to do this video is because there's so much kind of chaos and misinformation going on these days about things that, government conspiracies, what the government is trying to do with things regarding vaccines, and a lot of those things regarding vaccines include microchips. So I just wanted to break up some of the things and educate you guys a little bit on microchips. So some of the things, I posted a status on my personal account on Facebook the other day, and some people told me some things about microchips. I just simply asked the question, how big do you think a microchip is? And I saw a few people say that microchip is invisible to the eye. I had some more people inbox me saying that they think microchips are invisible, they're undetectable. You will never know if one is inside your body, that we may all be chipped already and don't know it. So I decided that I would go and buy a microchip just so I can show you guys. And anybody can buy these. You don't have to be a technical person or need any kind of special permission or privilege or license or certification to buy these. All you gotta do is look on Google and several different websites. This one I paid about $6 for, about $6.50 without tax and shipping and handling. Got to me in about 2 days. And this is probably the most expensive one that I seen. I saw another website that was selling them in bulk for 55 cents a piece, but the minimum that you could buy was 100, so I don't want to buy 100 microchips and I'm not really gonna have a use for them or anything. So it came in this nice little ESD bag. This is an anti-static bag to protect the microchip against electrostatic discharge. This is what ESD stands for. So ESD is, anything that's going to give out static electricity, including our bodies. That's why when you work in technical support or working in a technical repair environment where you're handling computer components, you won't see any carpet there, and you'll see people wearing things around their wrists. They either have on like a nice little wrist strap. That's an anti-static wrist strap to help discharge the static. You'll also see them, they may have something wrapped around their leg, and that's also a strap, and they have a grounding mat on the floor. They'll have a grounding mat on the floor and a grounding mat that'll take all of the electrostatic discharge away from the components, because some of those components, they're very sensitive, and even just the slightest touch, even if you can't feel it, we're always giving off that electrostatic charge, even if we can't feel it. Usually you rub your feet across the carpet really fast when you're messing with someone and you touch them, sometimes you can hear just, and you can sometimes see the shock. But even one not as big or as powerful or profound as that one can mess up a little device like this. So I'm gonna show you guys. So it came wrapped in an anti-static bag, and it came inside of another smaller anti-static bag right here, and it says it right on there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it says static shielding bag to help protect this little guy right here from static discharge. And my director is shaking her head saying that no, they can't see it. So it figures, because it's a kind of translucent bag, and the lettering on it isn't very dark, anything. Is no real contrast. All right, so right in here there's the chip. If you guys can see that, there's the chip right there. So it is indeed visible to the eye. It is indeed visible to the eye. So let me go ahead and take this out. Go ahead and take this out, and here it is right here. That is our microchip. This is our microchip. So right there, if you guys can see it, if that's a give you, I can't really tell, but that's it right there. So it's bigger, pretty much bigger than a grain of rice. This one, this specific model here, the one that I bought, they said this one measures at 7 millimeters. This one measures at 7 millimeters long. I didn't have a rule or nothing, but that looks about right. It looks less than a centimeter. It looks less than a. Move my hand down.
No, do this with the
That?
so they can see that. Yeah.
Oh, that like that.
Yeah.
That's how you want me to do it.
So they can really see that.
That's my director. But
Can y'all see that?
All right, so that's about the size of it. So normally what they do is they won't inject this into your bloodstream or deep into any muscle tissue because it won't work. If you inject it that deep, they'll do it kind of subdermally, like right underneath the skin, and usually they'll do it right here. They'll have it like implanted right here on your hand. And the thing they use to do it is not like a regular syringe that they issue vaccines or anything with. I don't know the gauges because I'm not a nurse or a lab tech or anything like that, but it is a way bigger gauge, and it does leave a noticeable sore on your hand because sometimes they can't get that syringe in there cleanly, so they may have to make a small incision, then insert it using the syringe. It's a really wide needle, and it does leave a nice little wound there that may take maybe a couple of days to heal up, maybe 3-4 days to heal up. But when it's in there, it's still noticeable because it's sitting again right there, right underneath the first layer of your skin. So, you know, I've Googled pictures and things like that, and I may try to find some and put in this video to go along with it as well. Try to see if I can find some that are not marked for copyright and marked for reuse to show where people actually, you know, they can still see the chip moving under their skin, and they can like pick it up and do whatever with it. So more about this chip is, you know, we want to discuss the capabilities of this chip. You know, I'm not sure what people think that the government could do with this little thing. It doesn't have many capabilities, and even right now it's not powered. So even still inside your body, it's not powered. It doesn't have its own power source. It's going to get its power source from the receiver. It's going to get the power source from the receiver. So this actually cannot receive. Your microchip cannot receive. It can only transmit, and it uses a technology called RFID, radio frequency identification. So normally what they do, the applications that I've seen it with at, you know, people's jobs, is that they store information on these. They may store their personal information, name, social security number, address, payment information. I've seen videos where people got these implanted in their hand, and they kind of use it to pay at vending machines using this, or they go to the store and pay for them at the store, pay for their items at the store. Very much like using Apple Pay or Google Pay, any of those different services, because it uses the same technology. It doesn't have a very long range on it. The RFID version that it uses is called NFC, near field communication. So very similar to what you would see in a normal cell phone when you are using those applications like Apple Pay and Google Pay. So again, not too many capabilities. The most that they can do on these is store information. And again, if you have it, it'll be very noticeable. And these also do show up on x-rays. They do show up on x-rays, so they're very much detectable as well. So as you can see here, it is visible to the eye, very visible. Right here is bigger than a grain of rice, so it's not, you know, that small. It's not invisible to the naked eye, and they don't really make them smaller than this. They can't make them smaller than this because they're still struggling trying to make smaller processors in general. And this, trying to make it smaller, would have very little capability. On the inside of it, it's just, you know, a couple of pieces of copper wrapped around another piece of metal. Again, just used as a receiver. It doesn't have very much room to store any information, so that's about the most that they can do. I've been reading articles where, and I'll try to see if I can find the links to those articles, it's been a while ago, where they do want to use this in medical applications, for medical applications at hospitals, where it can store patient information. So instead of having to ask your information and jump through hoops, going through HIPAA and other legal organizations like that, you can have your information stored right on your chip, and they can scan that chip and receive all of your past medical history from that chip. So it can be updated as needed. It can be updated as needed. So the way they update it is usually they'll have someone program it. And you know, I'm in no means a programmer, so I really have no use for this thing outside of showing it to you guys in this video. But they'll have someone program it and send the information to it using a transponder, where they'll flash. That's what they call it. That's what they call the process, where they flash the chip. So these chips are one-time use, kinda. You know, if you need new information, they kind of got to take this one out and put a new one in. As far as things like tracking or anything like that, it doesn't have that capability. So as far as, you know, some people saying that, hey, they're gonna put a chip in you so that they can track you. Well, it doesn't have that capability because they use GPS satellites to track people, and this cannot communicate with the GPS satellite. It is not powerful enough. It is not powerful enough to communicate with the GPS satellite, so they definitely won't use it for that purpose. So it will show up. You can clearly see it. They are cheap. As for me, my personal preference, I would not get one because I've also seen other reports, especially with me. I'm diabetic. I have diabetes, so wounds don't heal very well on me. So, you know, the wound it leave, it may take that wound a little bit longer to heal. And by that time, my body may start to reject the chip and push it back out. Now, I've seen other people who are not diabetic have that happen after the wound healed up. The chip started, you know, trying to push itself back out to the surface, or their body was trying to push the chip out back to the surface because it was rejecting the chip. So, and I've seen others where the chip actually traveled, where it actually traveled. Sometimes the person didn't administer the chip correctly, and they kind of went a little bit too deep, and the chip kind of moved around and traveled. And I've seen one where they had to pull the chip out of the guy's like upper arm right here because it traveled up and moved up. Very similar to what I hear sometimes happens with women's birth control, like the IUDs. Something very similar that happens sometimes with those, where they can sometimes travel and get stuck in other places if they're not correctly administered. So as far as, you know, people trying to track you or anything, this cannot do that. It has no tracking capability because with NFC and RFID, it has a very, very low range. It has a very low range. You almost have to be touching in order to read it. Again, similar to when you use Apple Pay or Google Pay, you can't even use it from 2 feet away. It only has about, maybe, if you're lucky, depending on the transponder, maybe 1.5 inches of range. But for most of them, you have to, you know, touch it. You really have to touch the 2 components together. So, no, it won't do any of that. Very low range. Even the receivers, the thing that you're going to be touching it to, the strongest one has a maximum range of 100 meters. Has a maximum range of 100 meters. But they don't use that all the time because if someone has multiple RFIDs in the vicinity, it's going to confuse the receiver and confuse each of the cards, because now it's going to read every single card in the area and try to read everyone's information. So you won't see that often as well. The other implication that I have why I would not get one is for the security implications. I'm sure there's someone out there working right now to try to use a receiver to pick up more of these things like this, because people are always working on malicious stuff out there. So they may be working on something to try to pick these up from a longer range, you know, from that 100-meter range. Very similarly to when they use the infrared readers to steal people's debit card information a few years ago, and people are still doing that now. That's why it's really important to have an RFID blocking wallet and an IR blocking wallet so that you can block those radio frequencies. So as far as this, I would not get one just for the security implications, where I can have random people, you know, possibly in the future sometimes just steal my information while I'm walking down the street. Aside from, you know, the if I didn't have the issues or diabetes, or the fear of it traveling up my arm, or traveling into my bloodstream because someone administered it incorrectly. Aside of that is just the security implications. So, me as an IT person, and you'll learn as well as, you keep diving deeper into my videos and the videos that you're going to see from others as well. I'm also going to be featuring some other trainers as well to give their 2 cents about things. You're going to notice something in common with all of my fellow trainers. We are very big on security. We're very big on security. And a lot of these trainers are actually going to be trainers that I personally taught in a classroom as well. So they're going to know their stuff as well. And, a lot of them, after listening to me, after listening to a few of my lectures in class, they went out, they got that IR blocking wallet, they got their IR blocking purse or wallet for the women as well. So they make all of those things, but they really don't make anything to block this yet. And technology is always being worked on. People are always trying to attack the newest technology that comes out for, just for kicks, for money, or just to tear down a competition, just to be malicious. So I would not get these. So as far as things like the government tracking you, the government can already track you if you have a smartphone. Even if you have a regular cell phone that does not have GPS on it, they can use a process called triangulation, where they're gonna ping 3 of the nearest cell towers and find your relative location in the middle of that triangle, so they can still track you. They don't need this to track you. They don't need to insert this into your body to track you. They can't control you with this. They can't use this as a form of mind control. It doesn't work that way. So, a lot of the stuff that a lot of people know about these things, they learn from movies. And while it's often that art does imitate life, in this case, not so much. It's just a teeny tiny thing, and it doesn't even have a power source. It's going to get its power from the receiver. There you go. You can hold on to that. So I hope this was informative. If you guys have any more questions about RFID chips, about microchips, please feel free to comment. I answer questions all of the time. Also, feel free to shoot me an email, geraldw@3minutetech.net as well. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. And again, please, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I will answer any questions that you guys have about this. I've been Gerald Washington. This is 3 Minute Tech, and we just talked about microchips. See you guys later.